So today we're going to talk about fundamentals of inbound marketing. But before I tell you guys about myself, why don't you tell me a little bit about yours? And I can see a few people are answering Amanda's question, which is great because it's related to the questions I wanted to ask. So I love that. So let's go through them. So Kingston, Ontario, my business in the local deliveries. I remember that, Tegan. Medium businesses called YGK Takeaway. Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm also from Kingston, Ontario. Awesome. Novari Health. So why don't you guys tell me if you're B2B and B2C? And feel free to unmute yourself. Don't shy away. Drop it in the chat. It's all cool with me. I think B2B at the moment. Okay. B2B. Awesome. On a scale of 1 to 10, how familiar are you with inbound marketing? And I think this is a repeat question from the previous session. So 1 means that you don't know much about inbound marketing, and 10 means that you are an expert, B2B and B2C. The good. Okay. 4, awesome. Anybody else wants to share? 3 to 4. All right, let's move on to the next question. Are you guys using any apps or tools to manage your marketing processes? If so, what are you using? So examples could be Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads, LinkedIn, YouTube, really anything. And feel free to drop it in the chat or unmute yourselves. LinkedIn and Google Ads, love it. Dynamic 365 and LinkedIn. So Dynamics is Microsoft, right? Yeah, okay. Facebook ads. Perfect. All right. Finally, I think Amanda also asked this question. I'm going to ask it as well. Tell me about your business in 3 words, and you can describe it however way you like to. And we're just going to give that a bit of a moment. All right. Local delivery solution. Love it. Anybody else wants to share? Professional development certificates? That's awesome. Walking food tour. Oh, wow. I like that. That's pretty cool. All right. Anybody else wants to share? Last call before I move on. All right. So let me tell you guys a little bit about myself before we start the presentation. As you may know, my name is Mina. I am part of HubSpot's partnerships team, and I was essentially hired a few months ago to manage the Canadian portfolio and work with our partners locally. I am a U of T engineering graduate, and I used to work in fintech before joining HubSpot. If you have been on President's Choice Financial to check out their websites and their credit cards, I was actually part of that project. So let's get into things. What are we talking about today? We're going to talk about inbound marketing principles. So we're going to start it with the old playbook, which is outbound marketing, the new playbook, which is inbound marketing. We're going to talk about buyer's journey. And then finally, we're going to get into some strategies and plays to leverage and close things with a few examples. It's going to be a bit of a heavy workshop, but I think it's worth it. So thank you for attending. And while I go through this, please feel free to interrupt me to ask questions. I'm going to try and pause at the end of each section to give you guys a chance to speak, or drop it in the chat and I'll try to cover them in the end. Please keep in mind my laptop is in presentation mode, so I can't actually see you guys. If I miss something, please don't shy away, just bring it up. All right, so let's start with the old playbook. I like to start things with this picture. This is a great image to show how the internet looks today. It ultimately shows you're competing against everybody. You could literally be competing against a tweet by the President of the United States, or maybe a cat video that's gone viral. Sky is the limit, and it's pretty much wild, wild west out there. In today's world, buyers are in absolute control. Back then, local sellers had the upper hand and business owners could control the market. Nowadays, it's not really the case anymore. Buyers can find the information before they ever engage with the business. So they can go check out their website, the materials, reviews. They can even go on Glassdoor and check out employee reviews to see how the business is like behind the scenes. Buyers have gotten better at blocking out interruptive marketing techniques. So direct email marketing, ad blockers, they're using all those types of stuff. I'm using them. And finally, buyers have really high expectations around the experience of buying. And to give you guys a simple example, if somebody wanted to buy a car in the 80s or 90s, they could probably only get that from the local dealership in their town. And the chances are the store owners controlled the pricing, they controlled the markets, and people were just kind of limited to what that dealership offered in their town. And customer experience, it might have been a hit or miss. You never know who you're going to deal with, right? But it's not really the case anymore. Today, customer experience is more important than ever. And it's really important to realize that buyers are in absolute control in today's market. So Seth Godin, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him or not. He was essentially an executive during the dot-com bubble, and he said this interesting thing. And he essentially said the biggest problem with the old playbook is that it fights for people's attention by interrupting them. And we actually really agree with that at HubSpot. So let's talk about the new playbook and how it can be leveraged by business owners and entrepreneurs. At HubSpot, as you guys may know, we were essentially a unicorn startup, and we struggled with customer retention in our early days big time. And revenue wasn't high, and turnover was actually a problem. So everything felt like painful, essentially. And they decided to conduct lots of studies, and the marketing team found a few interesting things. So they found that 91% of people unsubscribe from marketing emails, 20% direct mails are never opened and immediately thrown in the trash, and 48% of people are listed on the do not call lists. This was a big problem for them, and they really needed to think of something, and so then they can turn things around. And their strategy was all built around inbound marketing tactics, and that's how they essentially turned things into an advantage for themselves. So what is inbound marketing, and what is the difference with outbound marketing? Inbound marketing is a business methodology that attracts customers by creating valuable content and experiences tailored to them, while outbound marketing interrupts your audience with content they don't always want. Inbound marketing forms connections, looks for and solves problems customers already have. It engages with an audience by connecting them with useful content through organic means. So for example, a skillfully crafted blog post about a blogger's favorite product will speak to the potential customer in a way that a banner ad can't. To make this a little bit more visual, think of inbound marketing as a magnet and outbound marketing as a megaphone or a loudspeaker. So one of them is trying to attract the right crowd, and the other one is basically just preaching to anybody who's passing by. So in technical terms, inbound marketing is customer-centric, and outbound marketing is essentially marketer-centric. To give more context, outbound is essentially things like banners, billboards, radio, TV advertisements, and then inbound is more like things like Seos, blogging, newsletters, which I'll get into shortly. Outbound is only feasible for corporations with large budgets, to be perfectly honest. The marketing campaigns are generally targeted towards a mass audience. So companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, the big banks, Head & Shoulders shampoo, Starbucks, they can probably pull something like that off, but truthfully, most businesses can't. Let's go back to basics a little bit here. Traditional marketing is essentially described as a funnel. So at the top of the funnel, which basically represents awareness and interest, we have things like website visitors and traffic. And then at the middle, we have potential leads or customers. And this is about consideration and engagement. And then at the bottom, we have marketing qualified leads. This is about making a purchase and becoming loyal to the brand. This is a very old school roadmap that a lot of businesses use, and it shows a guide on potential customers from their very first interaction with a brand to ultimately becoming a paying customer. There's also a linear view broken down into 4 key segments: attract, convert, close, and delight. So you can also see there are a collection of different activities to attract and retain customers. I don't want to spend too much time on this because at HubSpot, we actually have something better. We took the initiative to modify the marketing funnel and change it to a flywheel. Inbound marketing is just one part of a larger movement in the business world. It's the foundation for the idea that it's not enough to just attract people to your website. You have to continue to help, support, and empower them well after they become a customer. And that's how your business grows, by keeping marketing, sales, and service constantly focused on how to help current and future customers. Other companies that go by a similar flywheel include Starbucks, Hilton Hotels, Amazon, and Nordstrom. Any questions here before I move on? And you can definitely unmute yourself if you want to have a chat. All right, let's move on to the next part. So how do you attract your target customer to your website? First of all, you need to make sure that you are targeting the right people in the right place at the right time. And for that reason, knowing your buyer persona is really important. So then you can figure out what format and what content you should be putting out there. For example, people probably hang out on Instagram and Pinterest for design ideas, retail, and overall storytelling. They use YouTube for tutorials, and they read blogs for more technical things. So understanding this about your buyer will help you understand what you need to do. Last thing you want to do is spend money on ads in a place that your buyers are not hanging out. It's a philosophy of pulling people in by actually showing you're adding value and caring about them, but the philosophy needs to be executed under the right conditions. So content, place, and time is really important here. You need to cover 5 things before you shape your marketing strategies. One is understanding inbound marketing principles, which we just covered. And then 2 is your company's purpose. Basically, what is your mission beyond simply making a profit? And the third thing is your business goals that you're trying to achieve. So this could be increasing revenue, brand awareness, customer acquisition, or whatever you have for yourself. And the fourth thing is buyer persona. I'm not going to get into the details of buyer persona today. We covered it in the different workshops a few weeks back. But essentially, your starting point for your inbound marketing is to figure out who your audience is. It's also important for you to know how your customer would like to make a purchase. So then you can make personalized experiences for them. So for example, if your customer is hanging out on LinkedIn after 5 p.m. on business days, then great. We'll hang out on LinkedIn after 5 p.m. on business days. And then finally, buyer's journey, which I'm going to get into shortly right now. Very quick overview of buyer's journey and how it ties back to marketing strategies. So the buyer's journey is the active research process a potential buyer goes through leading up to their purchase. It follows them through the stages of becoming aware of a need, considering different solutions to fulfill that need, and then making a decision between different solutions. You can use a buyer's journey to create content at different stages, and this is essentially how we identified it. We use free guides, ebooks, videos, and blogs to woo our potential leads. Our target audience for our webinars, case studies, and demos are essentially for people who we believe are essentially considering to purchase our product. And then free trials, again, demos and consultations with our sales team are targeted towards qualified leads who we feel that they're ready to make a purchase. So our marketing efforts are heavily segmented and structured for us. Any questions here? Do you guys want me to pause a moment on this slide, or should I move on?
No, this looks great.
All right, awesome. Let's get to the next slide. So this is our internal buyer's journey we use for reference. And we essentially believe that every single point here is a marketing opportunity for us. So if we do any events, we know that it's only for brand awareness. We're not expecting people to buy from us at a dinner or a happy hour, but we do believe that it throws our name out there. Further down the journey, you can see a demo. We actually don't do any demos unless we feel there's a high probability of purchase. So we study our customer a little bit before we agree to do a demo for them. But even that, it's also a marketing opportunity for us. We essentially, what we're trying to do is that we're trying to aim for one single brand customer experience, and we invest a lot of training and energy to build a cohesive brand across all departments. So for us, everything should be tied back as a seamless, unified experience for our customers. And it's really important to build a buyer persona and buyer journey for your business, so then you can understand your customer better. To be honest, it really comes down to the little details. So having something like this, it's going to be very useful for your marketing strategies. I like to leave the slide here for you guys. When you get a copy, I encourage you to consider your marketing tactics for each stage and what you believe works best for your business here. Happy to pause here and discuss this a little bit. If not, I'm happy to move on. I just want to make sure I'm not going too fast with this presentation because I know there's a lot to cover here. All right, let's move on then. So how does your company gets found? This is where you can explore different strategies. So let's go back to the flywheel again. We mentioned attract, engage, and delight. We're essentially trying to attract strangers and convert them to prospects. We then try to move those prospects to customers. And once they become customers, we want them to become advocates for us. But how does that work within the marketing context? Your marketing team is essentially your loudest amplifier, so attracting. This is about the question that is being asked by a potential customer. This is your opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge. You could also make yourself available through meetings, calls, and chat if you have a sales team. And then engage. This stage is the moment your potential customer is taking an action. So for example, reading your article, reaching out to your sales team, and this provides the opportunity to start building a relationship. Your focus here is to build trust, answer questions, and provide solutions. And again, this is your chance for a one-on-one relationship. And then the last stage is delighting. It revolves around providing an outstanding experience and exceeding their expectations. And this is also your opportunity to create advocates and brand promoters for yourself. So my question for you guys is, where do you think you should focus your marketing efforts today? Is it attracting, engaging, or delighting? And feel free to drop that in the chat. Come on, guys, don't be shy. Are you attracting, engaging, or delighting?
I would say that at my company and our organization within the Faculty of Arts and Science, we're attracting and engaging, and our delighting is definitely evident when we're getting a lot of our customers from word of mouth, but it's figuring out how do we attract new business for the people that don't know about us.
Word of mouth is the best, actually. Like, they never talk about it at HubSpot, but word of mouth is what actually got them, through the door, actually, like got them all the sales they needed. So it's really good that you have that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm seeing a lot of activity in the chat. It seems like everybody's going through attract and engage. So if you're in the early stages for your business, attracting and engaging customers are probably the main focus areas. Remember, you want to build a machine first. And I'm going to get into that again, but delight or customer retention is really something that's down the line once you're in the flow of selling. So you can definitely think about it today, but I wouldn't execute on delight if you're in the early stages of your business. So what can you do with attracting and engaging? So for attracting, it's really important to understand SEOs, blogging, social media, and video content. And then for engaging, we're going to cover email marketing, lead flows, and automations, and live chat. And again, we want to build a magnet machine here. So it's really important to build things from ground up. Let's start with SEO. So it stands for search engine optimization. The goal with the SEO is to make sure you don't land on the second page of Google search results. The main question is, what questions are your potential customers asking in order to stumble across your content? So I'm going to drop this question in the chat so you guys can kind of think about it. So what questions are your potential customers asking in order to stumble across your content? SEO is two components, relevance and authority, and there are two parts to SEOs, on-page SEOs and off-page SEOs. So on-page SEOs refers to the factors that you can control on your own website, and then off-page SEOs refers to page ranking factors that occurs off your websites, and it's essentially beyond your control, but it's it's tend to work out in your favor. And those are tend to be backlinks from another site to your website. This includes promotion methods and also taking into account the amount of exposure something gets on social media. And those are the little things that you need to pay attention to. So I'm going to reiterate this again. On-page SEOs are factors that you can control, and then off-page SEOs are things that you can't control. This is a map of our SEOs internally from a marketing perspective. This is not like the coding technicals, it's just the marketing stuff. And I want to talk about Google search a little bit. So before 2013, if we wanted to Google something, we would type it in simple words. So for example, red jacket. So if I typed in red jacket, Google would then scan and see every time red jacket was mentioned on the internet. It would then sort to see who are the most important people that are talking about a red jacket. So for example, if Amazon did a blog post about a red jacket, then it would probably be on the top of the search results. Today, Google has advanced so much that this format is no longer the case. It's about relevancy of the search results. And it also gives everybody a fair chance. So it's not really about the big guys anymore. Now it's basically about what is your intent when you searched for this keyword. So for example, if I search red jacket with fur, Google would then understand I'm probably looking for a winter jacket. But if I Google red jacket Arsenal, Google would then bring results for Arsenal soccer team. So essentially Google is trying to understand the intention of what we're trying to do. Or think of the keyword weather. If I'm Googling weather, I'm not looking for the definition of weather. The chances are I want to know the weather and where I am locally. So they're basically trying to understand the intention of what we're trying to do or what we're searching. So it's really far more advanced and sophisticated than what I just explained, but this was basically the gist of it. It's not really about the content. It's not just about your content with SEO, but it's also about making sure that your content is structured in a way that addresses the intention of your service or your product. And this will make sure that your business has a chance of being found through search engines. So if you look at the center of the slide, we have a core topic cluster. This is basically the broad overarching problem that you want to write about. For us, for example, this would be something like sales and marketing. Sales and marketing are very, very broad topics, and we can write tons of subtopics about it. So pillar content is the core content, and that's what you want to be found for. In order to augment this problem, we want to write valuable subtopics. So if you go on our blog, our content goes beyond sales and marketing. You're going to find posts about career growth, finance, and the content is written in such a way that it ties back to our CRM. So Google isn't naturally connecting these topics to marketing right off the bat. We're basically using hyperlinks, CTAs, internal linking for our subtopics. So then we can kind of essentially lead you to our core page. So like if you land on our blog, you're going to see a whole bunch of CTAs, and they're like really placed in special places where they feel like the audience will interact. And then they just kind of lead you to the next page, until you land where they want you to land. And all of that is really structured in the back end. And it's also additional push for our SEOs. This is the result for the red jacket fur. I also got Nordstrom and Zara as suggested places to shop from. And this is the result for red jacket Arsenal. And this time the search results were different. And I got Sport Check as a suggested store to shop from. So if you are locally in Toronto, you would probably get something similar to what I got. Sorry, I want to share an internal use case with you guys. This is how things looked for us in the back end visually. So if you look at the left-hand side, this was our content infrastructure that we used to have a few years ago. So we had a blog for our company, and then we just had tons of content thrown at our visitors, and people were reading them on a daily basis. So at this point, Google didn't really know what sales and marketing was. And it took us a while to rise to the top of the search engine. But we had to go through a lot of pain and organize our content. So on the right-hand side, basically what happened was that the marketing content was clustered up together. So one cluster would be sales, one cluster would be marketing, one cluster would be something else. And they basically organized it together, and they basically structured their hyperlinking and linking that they did. So all the call to actions that they had. So once they organized that, their blog subscribers went from 6 million to 10 million. And it really boosted their SEOs at Google search results. So they literally soar by this. And all they did was go through our linking system and organize everything we had. So they actually organized 15,000 articles in one summer. And I wasn't there to see it, but I've heard that like the marketing team was like crying and they was just miserable during that period going through this, but they say it was worth it. In our case, 20% of our content, top content, generates over 80% of our leads. And this structure also works much better with Google's natural language processing that they have today. A bit more specific example, we have entrepreneurship as the broad topic for HubSpot for Startups program. So in this case, entrepreneurship is our core content, and we have about 5 to 6 subtopics interconnected. So now these subtopics are structured in such a way that they are not fighting for themselves. They are now a cluster that drive for the concept of entrepreneurship. So for example, a subtopic is how to start a business, and then another one is equity financing. So then the two are not really cannibalizing each other, and the two are essentially leading to the entrepreneurship page. Again, this is only for on-pages SEO, it's not off-pages SEOs, but these are the types of stuff that you can control when you are trying to figure out your content for your blogs and your SEOs. Any questions here before I move on?
No questions for me.
No questions? All right. Let's move on to the next part of the SEOs. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about off-page SEOs. This is really about building quality content. So this is how most companies do it. They think they get to a stage where they feel that they need organic traffic for their websites. And then what they do is that they decide to produce content. And in this instance, let's just say they decide to produce blogs. They spend a lot of time in building the content, but they almost always forget to do their connecting or hyperlinking with other outlets. And they're not really involved. They're just like producing content on their website and they're putting it out there. This is a huge mistake. Backlinks are very crucial in the SEOs. It's not about quantity. Google's just not going to show you just because somebody produced or a business produced 50 articles. And this is not really isolated to startups. This is essentially an advice that's given to a lot of early stage companies with new websites. And all they're told is to create as much as content as possible. And a lot of times what happens is that people do that and then they go through the first 5 to 6 months and they're basically getting flat traffic and they can't really figure out what is wrong. So they're not really getting the traffic that they wish to have. And what they do instead is that they go out there and they create even more content. But the problem, it's not about the content. It's the fact that it's not being shared on social media, or backlinks as we call it. So again, this is how most people do it, but this is how it actually should be. So the reality is that as a new domain and a newer company, you need to work on building authority. So like I mentioned, SEOs are about relevance and authority. So you want your content to be relevant to your audience, but you also want to focus on building authority. So in this case, backlinks are your best friend. So yes, content is incredibly important, but without authority, you're like the brand new author with no leverage. So basically try to think of yourself as J.K. Rowling before she got her Harry Potter deal. Essentially, this view, again, this is how it should be, right? So building content and backlinks, they should go hand in hand for you. So think of it as quality over quantity, and then focus on the quality of your content. And once you do, make sure that it's shared as much as possible so then you can build authority on the internet. Honestly, all you need is maybe like 5 good, really high quality blog posts that's constantly being shared. So you don't need 50, you're good with 5. And how backlinks work, just to give you guys a definition of what a backlink is, it's essentially, sometimes people call it inbound links, or sometimes people call it external links. They're essentially links from other websites to your website. So what happens with Google is that every time somebody shares your content, or every time someone refers to your content on their website, you basically get a vote. And this is why it's really important to get that for yourself. So you just want people, you don't want them to plagiarize your stuff. You want them to lead them to your page. And then once you create your content, you just want them to like be shared as much as possible. I feel like I'm repeating myself here a little bit, but this is basically why backlinks are really, really important when it comes to SEOs.
Can I just ask a quick question about that?
Yeah.
So like, let's say that you wrote a blog post and you shared it to your Facebook page. So if somebody actually just kept, like if people kept going and pressing share that way directly from your Facebook page, like would that create a backlink every time, or is it they have to go and get the link themselves and put it on type of thing?
The challenge with Facebook is that it's like private. So if you don't have an account, it's not going to show up on Google search results, right? But like if people are like referring to your YouTube channel, that's a great way of building SEOs, because if you search for something on Google, sometimes YouTube video shows up as a result. So like that's a great way of using your backlinks and just getting people to share it. So like look for, if when it comes to your SEOs, look for public channels that you know it's going to show up. Twitter is another great example. Like it's basically SEOs. So like you want that, but Facebook, it's like, it serves a different purpose when it comes to SEOs. I wouldn't go near Facebook. Like it's great for you to build authority within the Facebook platform, but I don't think it'll help you too much within the SEO world.
Okay, so you would suggest Twitter then for helping with the SEO a little bit more then?
Yeah, because like think about it, like Twitter, it's like open. So like even if you like Google like a famous person, a celebrity, if they have like a Twitter account, their tweets will show up in Google search results. So like something like that. So if you have a company and you've built enough authority, that'll show up as well.
Awesome, thank you.
A great example I can think of, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jerome Powell. So somebody created like a parody account of him, so like a fake account, and he would like post like humorous like fake content. He got so big on Twitter that like if you Googled for his name, there was this period that his Twitter account would show up instead of Jerome Powell. So like this is actually how he built a lot of authority. So like Twitter and YouTube, Reddit is really great because these are like open channels, they're public and they show up on Google search results. Anything else on SEOs? All right, let's move on to blogging. Once you get the hang of SEOs, then you can move to blogging. To reiterate, if SEO—
Sorry to interrupt you, Mina. Sorry, yeah. I just had one more question about SEO.
Sure.
Let's say that we do all the backlinking that we need to do on our content articles. Is there a typical lag time to see the SEO start to generate?
To be honest with you, I don't have the expertise on the time, but one thing I can say to you is that, so say you don't want to like post on your website, you decide to post it on Medium, on LinkedIn. Those are great channels. So say you do it in those channels, timing is really important for you. You want to post it at a time where you know your audience is going to be live, so then they can see it. Yeah. And like, don't shy away from like asking your friends to like your content and share your content. Like, usually people are more than happy to do it, and that's going to help you get to the top.
Okay.
Yeah. So if SEOs are essentially important for your business, then you should probably care about blogging, so then you can be found on Google and get your SEO credit. So whether your content is educational or maybe it's an event, it honestly doesn't matter. You just want to be at the top of the search results. A blog idea. So if you are speaking with your prospects and then the same question comes up for you over and over again, that's probably a good indication that you should write about that, because the chances are that you know more about it than other people do. Again, your website pages are your digital storefront, so put your best face forward. Why blogging? I know a lot of people don't like it. But there are good reasons as why blogging is effective. One is that it's cost effective, especially for a new business or a startup. Two is it helps closing deals. So at HubSpot, we know that 47% of our buyers are actually checking around 3 to 5 pieces of our content before engaging with us. And that's about half of our customers actually. It has long-term value. So there's no need for a monthly budget. And then it can also live on your website for a long time. And it also drives traffic to your website. So for us, for example, we've produced so much content on inbound marketing that we're pretty much on the top of the search results. Though some people, apparently they get Wix first. When I search for it, I get HubSpot first. And then Salesforce, who are our competitors, they come in like, I think 4th or 5th, even though they're 10 times bigger than us. So I can actually quickly show you guys the example, inbound marketing. So ignoring the ad, HubSpot comes first. And then once I go down, there's like WordStream, there's like Salesforce. So these guys are actually bigger than us, but they're like not even at the top. And we're like in the same space. So this is why blogging can help you get ahead. If you don't wish to blog on your website, you can always rely on authority blogging. Authority blogging basically means using a third party with authority domain for your content. So websites like Medium, Quora, Reddit, and LinkedIn are really good for that. So what happens, for example, one of our partners, they produce a lot of content on Canada's startup ecosystem. And I actually use their content for my internal presentations. So he's using inbound marketing to attract somebody like me, which is working in his case. And then I'm doing my own stuff to attract somebody like him because I'm interested in his work. So him and I essentially doing a full circle, and we're basically just communicating with each other through blogging. Any questions on blogs before I move on to social media?
I have a quick question. In the previous slide, you had said, I think it was 3 to 5. Yeah, 4 to 5 pieces or so. I guess you must have a mechanism wherein you can track that and determine which pieces are performing best and how many pieces are optimal before that lead sort of matures. Can you explain a little more there?
Yeah, so a marketing team analyzes all those things, so they have benchmark for it. So like when they go through their clusters, they know which ones are the most popular ones, and they know which ones are tracking them, driving the most traffic, or which type of content leads to the customers to the pricing page or to the product page. So they actually track all of that. They have benchmarks. They analyze all the numbers. So it's really, really good to pay attention to something like that. Sorry, did that answer your question?
Sort of, but do you have a mechanism to track individuals, or is it more like, the page views on a certain blog post is highest, therefore it's best performing?
Yeah, it's based on page views. I don't think they can track other things, but one thing they do is if they get a sense that somebody's interested in their product, they have a toggle and they can turn it on. And then like if that person goes on their pricing page, they get actually an email notification. So then the sales team is notified to contact that person. So like they look at the traffic, but they also have like at the bottom of the marketing funnel where they have their leads, they track those people's activities very closely.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to social media. Social media platforms are not equal. You can't put the same content on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, for example. We should put our content in the right format, in the right place, at the right time. Twitter, for example, is really good for live events and trends, and it's pretty short and sweet. Twitter is great for engaging in conversations from a business perspective. You can also follow the relevant hashtags and actually engage with people who are looking at your product. Flip over to Facebook. It's probably a little bit more personal where you interact with your social network. Facebook is also an acquisition channel and people have their businesses also set up there. They post pictures and videos, but the difference is that it's very lighthearted. And then Instagram, on the other hand, it's all visual and based on storytelling through pictures and videos. Flip over to LinkedIn. This is where your credibility of your business probably lives. So it's also a great source to post your blogs and engage with the relevant community and be viewed as a leader. LinkedIn is great for that. if you understand where your audience is living, then you can get the right content at the right time in front of your audience. Social media and marketing isn't always arts and crafts. You also need to analyze how your content performs. So how many of you guys know exactly where your traffic is coming from? Do you know where you should be hanging out? And to be frank, most people don't, and they don't always know how to measure success against that. So one of the things is that a lot of these tools, so like Instagram Business, they in the back end, in your CMS, you can actually see analytics to see how your business is performing or who your audience is. It's really important to take a look at those, right? So those are the types of stuff you want to analyze to make sure your marketing strategy is effective, but you also want to measure something else and set a goal for yourself. So say you want to have a certain number of leads. So in our case, say 500 leads, for example, just arbitrary number. Then the question is, how much traffic do you need to generate 500 leads for yourself? And then once you set that benchmark, then all of your marketing strategies are going to go towards that. In terms of content, obviously it's very time consuming. It's going to take you hours and hours. You want to have a mix of creation and curation. You can always outsource to a platform like Fiverr or Upwork if you have a bit of a budget, but you can also share things on your website that are relevant to your business. So it's curated. You don't always need to create content. The chances are that you don't have time for it. So it's best to work with what you have. Videos have been dominating since 2017. Audiences are consistently preferring video content, but it's important to know your audience and your relevance channel. So for example, Facebook and Instagram users consume content very passively. They scroll down the feed and they only probably stop for about 3 seconds. That's what I've read. And all they care about is the most interesting stuff in their definition. So you don't really have a lot of time to hook your audience on your Instagram and Facebook, but if it makes sense for your business, that's where you need to be. YouTube, on the other hand, is a lot more intentful. And again, they're relevant to your SEOs and they're built on SEOs. If you're living on Instagram and someone is posting a story of your product, share it, interact with them, message them. If they have like a really positive feedback, they sent you a really nice DM about your business, take a screenshot, share that, and interact with your audience and engage with them. But at the same time, keep in mind, you don't want to overdo it with your content. Half of social media users they will unfollow you for being overly promotional. People know when they're being sold and they don't like it at all whatsoever. So it's really important to find the right balance for yourself as well. So one, figure out the relevant platform for yourself. You don't need to be everywhere. And two, make sure that you're finding the right balance in terms of producing content, and also find the right balance between creation and curation. For social media to be successful, it does sometimes require a little bit of promotion. Keep in mind the organic reach on a platform like Facebook is little to none. So it's not going to hurt to have a budget aside to test these things out. Once you understand your persona, you can spend your money on the right out. Obviously, don't spend a big budget, but maybe like a little bit just to test it out to see if it works for you. Facebook is pay to play. If you want to reach your audience, you can't really rely on organic reach alone. Boosting posts are going to allow you to get content in front of the people that you want them to see. LinkedIn is also another great place to use targeted advertising to reach a more qualified audience. Again, timing is really important. You want to make sure that you go live when your buyer persona is online. This is a very creative example for Google Ads and also SEOs by Canva. If you Google Canva alternatives, you'll get there is no alternatives. Canva is really well known for their heavy focus on SEOs, backlinks, and ads, and they're super creative about it. They've had so much influence that most people can't even think of other competitors when they think of Canva. People tend to think that Canva is the only player and the only platform out there doing what they do, and there's nobody else in that space. It's not true. There are tons of other competitors, but it essentially shows you the power of marketing and the influence that they've had. I think if you Google this Canva alternatives today, it's a little bit different. I think they come in third, but for a while, this is how it used to look like. And it was a very clever way of putting themselves on the top. Anything on social media before I move on to create video content? Okay, so let's move on to video. So we briefly talked about videos and how they've been dominating since 2017. So we did a study at HubSpot and we found out that 4 of the top 6 channels on which global consumers watch videos are actually social channels. And then we also realized that 50% of consumers, they prefer videos when it comes to their content. And we believe in today's social media world, videos are absolutely dominating when compared to other channels. And we also know that a majority of online shoppers believe that product videos help them make a purchase decision. I've done that. I think I was trying to buy a new vacuum last year, and I actually went through tons of YouTube videos just so I can read and learn about different products and see what's out there and which one's getting the best review. So it's definitely something to pay attention to. One of the most effective ways to educate your audience while offering immediate value is to create tutorial videos. This is an example explaining buying or renting a property in Germany. I watch a lot of videos like this. I know I'm definitely part of the trend. And remember, YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine in the world behind Google, even though it's not a search engine. So I want to repeat this again because this is a very important statement. YouTube is not a search engine, but it's the 2nd largest search engine in the world. So this is how much power these guys have when it comes to their influence. There are many different types of marketing videos. Of course, you can do demos, brand promotion, events, live videos, interviews, educational stuff, animated, case studies, personalized messages. Every single one of them is an opportunity for a marketing video. And you need to figure out what works for you best and which one is the right format for you, Podcasts are also great. They're related to videos, but I'm not going to cover them today. If it makes sense for your content, feel free to drop that as a podcast episode as well. Anything on videos before I move on to the next section?
I have a quick one. I've seen a trend towards, I want to say, like TikTok length videos, whether it's in fact on TikTok or Instagram's version or YouTube's version, and even tutorial or sort of how to, but very, very brief. Is this something that you're seeing also growing, and is it going to be sort of a greater part of the marketing mix when it comes to this area?
Yeah, so TikTok is really interesting, right? So TikTok is a competitor to Instagram, but the way it works is that TikTok is really random. So you actually have a higher chance of being found on TikTok than you would on Instagram. Instagram is a little bit more like AI based in the sense that one is that they're using advertising to target you. And the second thing is that it's based on the people that you follow. So if you travel, like a lot of travel blogs or travel accounts, all of the suggested content to you is going to be travel stuff. So Instagram and TikTok, very similar, but they operate a little bit different. YouTube is good because it's an open channel. It's a public channel. So if you post your content on YouTube, you have a chance of being found on Google search results. But if you choose TikTok or Instagram, then you're not targeting your SEOs. You're basically targeting that platform and you're trying to accumulate followers within that platform. So it's really important for you to figure out, do you care about being found on search results? If not, then TikTok and Instagram are great. But if your target is like SEOs, then YouTube is probably the place to be. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
No worries. All right, let's move on to email marketing automation. So email marketing automation is a little bit, it's not as popular as it used to be anymore, but let's talk about that because I think it's really important. One is that the first email marketing was essentially sent in 1978, and that resulted in $13 million in sales of computer machines and kicked off what has become one of the most highly used marketing channels even to this day. Given its early beginnings, it's not really as shiny as some of the other channels like messaging, social medias, and YouTube, but it's still effective to build an owned audience that gets results. Email marketing is not entirely dead. when it comes to customer acquisition, sometimes they're far more effective. I think one of the numbers I've seen is that they're 40 times more effective than Facebook and Twitter combined. Some basic tips. First thing is the copy. The copy in the body of your email should be consistent with your voice and stick to only one topic. Images, try to choose images that are optimized for all devices. It's eye-catching and it's relevant. A CTA, so try to have a call to action. You know, if you're sending an email to your contacts, maybe create a relevant offer that's standing out from the rest of the email and then make it a hyperlink and get them to that page. Timing is really important. Based on a study that observed response rates of 20 million emails, Tuesday at 11 Eastern time is the best day and time to send your emails. Again, I'm going to repeat that. Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern is the best day and time to send your emails. Responsiveness is really important. So 55%, that's more than half of emails are actually open on a mobile device. So your emails should be optimized for all sorts of different devices when you're sending them out. And writing every email like you're sending it to a friend is really important. You want to be personable and you want to address your reader in a familiar tone. And subject line, use clear, actionable, friendly language that's personalized and aligned with the body of the email. You can definitely use workflows to automate the process. You can schedule, sequence, automate personalization in an email. I do it with my partners, I think once a month. And if you have a large contact list that you need to address, this is going to be worth the investment. Let's move on to live chats and chatbots, because I think these live chats are really underrated. It's really about having conversations and establishing a connection with your site visitors in real time. This is really important. So then you can convert new leads, close more deals, and provide better support to your prospects and customers. If you think live chat is just for customer service, you're definitely missing out. Live chat marketing can play a key role in the lead generation machine. A lot of companies that are using live chat to, implement engaging conversational marketing content on their website. A few examples I can think of are Pet Plan, Best Buy, and Rogers. So if you go on there, you can, chat with a Rogers rep, but before you get there, if you pay attention, they have these like underlying like promotion activities or marketing activities that comes with it. Best Buy has that and Rogers has that. So like they're using it. It's not just customer service, but it's also marketing opportunity for them. And live chats are really great for B2C business models just as much as B2B. So it's a pretty great tool to use. Finally, building a great lead magnet. Your lead magnet is exactly as it sounds. Something that attracts prospects to your email list, usually in the form of a free offer. The offer can take a number of formats and should be valuable to your prospects and is given away for free in exchange for an email address. So inbound marketing, one of the key things that you really need is contact information and email address, because that way you can reach out to them. So whatever you choose to pursue, whatever platform you choose to pursue, having your contact's email address is going to be really useful for you. There's just one problem. People have become hyper protective of their personal information, and you can't expect to receive an email address without exchanging something valuable in return. So think of your lead magnets think about a lead magnet that's going to be relevant, useful, and makes your prospects' lives easier. So let's go back to the marketing funnel. When we are attracting our potential customers, we want to make sure that we are, again, capturing their contact information. So then we can build out some great leads in the future. We don't want these leads to go out the door and never to speak to us again. And not all prospects are converted the same way, and we need to identify the good leads and invest time in them. And we want to invest our time in leads we know have a high probability of purchase, and then we want to spend less time in people we know have a low probability of purchase. So for subscribers, we want to establish a connection. Ideally, we want their contact information. So in this stage, we probably just want the email address. For leads, we want to get data. We want to get further data to understand our prospect better. So we're trying to figure out our lead indicators here, and we want to know what convinces them to stick around and check out our products. We want more information, things like maybe title, location, company name, or anything that's relevant to your business. And then moving on to the bottom of the funnel, marketing qualified leads. We are looking for a signal that our prospect is ready to make a purchase. And that is where we start the sales conversation. So one of the things, for example, we do at HubSpot is when we have a customer, we track their activities within the CRM platform. So we want to know how many of our features they're using within the first 30 to 60 days. And we've learned that if they only use 5 out of 20, they're going to stick around and they're going to be successful with us. So like we track these things as well. And it's really important for you guys to figure that out for yourself too. I want to put things into perspective a little bit with the marketing funnel. 30% of visitors become subscribers, 40% of subscribers will become leads, and then 45% of the leads become marketing qualified leads. And then in the end, only 15% of marketing qualified leads actually end up making a purchase. So for us, this means that out of every 20,000 site visitors, we close only 162 deals. And that is why we're actively looking for contact information and care about attracting our prospects and essentially driving traffic, and why we care about our Seos and all those marketing tactics that I mentioned. Because on paper, the numbers are actually against us. So my question for you guys is, how do you know which marketing efforts are bringing the best leads for you? And that's going to dictate your strategies. And it's going to be really useful for you guys if you figure these numbers out for yourself, so then you can have a benchmark to look at. I'm going to move on to examples, but before I do that, any questions here? All right, let's talk about a couple of examples. One way to get your prospects' contact information is to have a call to action, like a pop-up form with a clear CTA that says download now. So download now could be like a free ebook, for example, or anything that you think is relevant. And then you get them to a landing page. And this is going to give them an overview of what they're signing up for and the information that they're going to give us. And this is really key for us because, again, we want their contact information. So a form can be very useful. And then once we have this information, we can nurture them through personalized marketing emails, newsletters, or however way that you think it's appropriate for your business. Again, I receive a couple of these, and I know I sent them out about once a month as well. Once we have the contact information, we send our prospect to a thank you page where they can download the offer. Again, it could be an ebook or it could be anything that you think it's appropriate. And then since this piece of content is aimed at the people in the lower of the funnel, so we feel that they're marketing qualified leads, HubSpot thinks that it's a really good time to show something additional. So we usually offer them like free marketing and sales or CRM software. So we let them know, hey, we have this and we have a free version, let's check it out. So we give them the book and we also give them this offering as well. It's up to you to judge what kind of offer makes the most sense to you on a thank you page like this, but it's also another good opportunity to show your lead another valuable piece of content. Finally, once we have the contact information and the leads that we want to nurture, we put them together and we create marketing campaigns and we send out automated marketing emails. I send them out, and again, I receive them. They are great sources of information that can be sent out in a timely manner. Each newsletter can have a theme, and then, or it could be like a series of topics that are timed out. Once a month is good, or maybe once every 6 months is good. And the goal essentially here is to move your leads closer to the purchasing decision where you can offer them your solution. Retargeting is also another great tactic to be aware of. So a great example is vacation booking. Essentially, the ad is in front of you for so long that the customer ultimately makes a purchase. Another example is, I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of Always Pan, but they have been retargeting me for probably years now, and I still haven't made a purchase, but it did lead me to research them on Reddit a little bit. And at this point, even though I've never owned a product by them, I actually know them pretty well. So it definitely works. These are some examples of nurturing emails. I'm not going to get into the details, but I'm going to leave them for you guys so then you can check it out. You can see that this person knows a lead has visited a pricing page and he has reached out to them to have some further conversation about it. So Kip is actually our CMO and he's still around, and he used to do this. So every time somebody went on the pricing page that we felt it was important for us and we felt like they were interested in our product, we would get an email like this. I sometimes get them. And this is, I know it's a little bit creepy, but it's going to help us figure out who's secretly interested in our product so then we can go out there and nurture them. And the general rule of thumb is that if we get a notification email like that, we want to contact them within maybe 10-15 minutes. You can also use use cases on your products. If you are B2C, this could be like a testimonial page, but use cases are super powerful. I'm a huge fan of them. I share them all the time when I speak with my partners about our products. So I think this is a very useful tool to have. You can also use a calculator. So President's Choice Financial had a really great calculator for the credit card points. I think they removed it. RBC, I believe, has a mortgage calculator, and I know a few other banks have a mortgage calculator. That's really, really a cool way to get their audience engaged and kind of drive them to their website. I'm not sure if you guys heard of Function of Beauty, but they're basically shampoo and conditioner hair products. They also use a calculator, and it's very, very engaging, and it's really, really neatly executed. So this one, if it's relevant to your business, is definitely something to think about. Finally, you can also create an ebook for download. This is not my favorite, but it does work. But you want to make sure that you put meaningful content in your book. A lot of people just cheat this part and they put like useless content just so they can collect contact information. It's never a good look on your business. Don't do that. If you choose to do this, if you choose to do a blog, make sure that whatever you do, it's quality and it shows your credibility, and it's also something that you know your audience, your customer or your audience will find meaningful and useful. Some key takeaways from this presentation. Number one is understand who you're selling to, get insights into what your ideal buyer journey looks like, decide where you want to focus on. So which stage of inbound methodology is important for you right now, figure out which plays you should kick off, and also add force, reduce friction, and automate as much as possible. So it's going to be as low lift as possible for you. Again, I really want to go back to this question because this is going to dictate everything that we covered, but ask yourself this question. Again, what questions are your customers asking before they stumble across your content? Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. If you guys have any questions, if you have any tips, comments, please let me know. I'd love to hear it.
No questions or comments from me. Just thank you so much. That was so informative. It really was, and very validating, especially when you're working on a new marketing strategy and reviewing the data. It's good to know that you're on track. So. Thank you.
If you guys, we have like 30 minutes left. If you guys want to talk about your marketing strategies, I would love to hear it too, because everybody's always doing something different. So I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. The thing that I guess in terms of nurturing your customers along the journey of new lead via prospect and then to a participant and or someone who's already bought, do you have any tips of attaching any attributes and or nurturing strategies to these types of audiences? Yeah,
so with those, if you choose to do newsletters, don't be salesy about your product. So make it like think of it as like a mini magazine, I guess. Like, so you're just informing them about stuff, or you're just kind of educating them. So we always go by like educate your customer, don't sell. So like don't stay away from that. People get annoyed. So definitely that's something thing. And then one thing that's really useful, and HubSpot swears by that, it's hyperlinking and call to action. So if you choose whatever you choose, is it's blog, if it's YouTube, if it's like a newsletter, email, or whatever, have CTAs. So, hey, like, do you want to learn more? Like, go check out this page, and then like kind of lead them to the next page and the next page. And some of them eventually end up where you want them to end up. So that's like basically your marketing funnel.
Okay, yeah, we do hyperlinking on our articles. I don't think that it's working too well though, unfortunately, just because of the really high bounce rate on articles, and it's tricky to try and move the customer throughout our website when they've landed on our article. We know that they're reading it because they're staying on the page for 5 to 10 minutes, but they're not moving through the website.
Do you know why, by any chance? Like, have you figured that out?
We're still working on that. We're actually just consulting with an outside firm on our website right now to kind of get more information on just the overall structure of our website and how to optimize it. But that's still kind of up in the air at this moment.
So I think the metric I shared was that essentially for us, half of the customers, we know that they check out between 3 to 5. So maybe that could be a benchmark to start with. Yeah.
3 to 5 articles.
Yeah.
We have program brochures that require a form submission. So I've been experiencing a lot of luck with people who have been engaging with 3 to 5 form submissions throughout their process on our website.
Awesome. No, that sounds interesting. It sounds like you're pretty advanced, or you're like one step ahead.
Trying to be. Yeah. Always an uphill battle, but.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like the competition, it's like every single business. I was talking about it with my brother. It's like pretty much every space I can think of, it's like oversaturated. It's like the competition is just like next level.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just not how it used to be.
Yeah. But I'm the one thing that I like that you pointed out was Canva's. There's no alternative. I guess there really is no alternative as soon as you brand yourself as the only go-to. So it really is about what you put out there and how you kind of command or how you assert your brand to your audience, right?
Yeah, they're really, really big on it, and I've been studying them. So like, for example, like PowerPoint, like Microsoft is their competition, and most people don't even think about that. Like, it doesn't even cross the mind. It's like Canva is Canva. Nobody else is doing what they're doing. And it's just like, it's not true.
Yeah.
That's the hilarious part. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Anybody else wants to have a chat?
One quick question. You talked a little bit about email capture. Is there a point during like the again, I don't want to say the sales funnel, but where it's most optimal that you've seen? Are people bouncing between, X amount of pages before they're presented with that as a mechanism to get their email?
Like when they go through the blog and it's like subscribe now type of thing, you mean?
Yeah, that type of thing.
That one's like everywhere. Like they have it at the top, they have it at the bottom, so it's like always in front of you. So I think it's just for them, it's just like placing it at the right place where they feel like the audience will look at it, and it's usually either at the top or at the bottom. So I think they have it like available everywhere, to be honest with you. Like I can check it out right now. Let me see. Yeah, so subscribe is here, and then it's like the color, it's like bolder than everything else. And then let's try this one. So here, like they have the download CTA. So this one's gonna ask for my email address. Download again. So this is gonna ask for it. Submit, join it. And then this one, let's see if they have the subscribe. Let's go at the bottom. Yeah, they don't have to subscribe here. So the key thing here, like this one just tells me that they're looking for email address, and all they care about is that you click on this download so that you can collect, so that they can collect your contact information. But they do try to get you to subscribe as well. But I don't think they try to nurture you through the blog post though. They just try to like send you newsletters, and then, sorry, they try to nurture you with the newsletters, but once they have your contact information, they try to prospect you. So they would like, that's like entirely different team. So the nurturing is done by marketing, and then prospecting is done by the sales team. So once they have your contact information and they think that you're a qualified lead, they try to prospect you. And then that's when they come in and try to have like direct conversation with you and say, hey, do you want to have a chat about our CRM? I want to see if I can add value. I want to see how we can provide a solution for you. But the key thing, this would be their starting point.
So just a bit of clarification.
Yeah.
How long is somebody in the nurturing portion before they flip over to the prospecting, and you know, what is the mechanism that triggers, okay, the now sales team needs to approach this person and go from there?
To be honest with you, I don't know how long, but a couple of metrics that I do know of is that if somebody signs up for our free CRM, we track their activity the first 20, 30 days, and we want to know how many features they're using within our platform. So if they use 5 out of 20 within the 30, 60 days, we know that like they're probably going to become a paying customer. That's one of the things that we look at. The other things that we look at is how many times they visited our pricing page, how many times like we get notifications on that, how many times they try to like contact us through chat. And like the more times they do it, the more times they engage us, that's going to increase the probability. And that's when we actually start like paying attention to them. But like, I guess like one of the metrics we look at is the 5 out of 20 rule. But in terms of timing and the timeline, I'm not entirely sure. I do know that the time frame that we always look at is 30 days to 60 days.
Okay, thanks.
No worries. Any other questions or comments?
I don't think I have any questions. I just want to say thank you so much for taking us through all that. And I feel like that was a great pace and a lot of great information. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate your kind words.
Yeah, I want to echo that too. This was wonderful, and I enjoyed it, and I'll watch it all over again. To be honest with you.
Thanks very much. And if you guys want to have a chat, so I'll drop my email address here, or add me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to hop on a Zoom call. Sometimes people contact me, and I'm happy to go over stuff again and just kind of have a conversation outside of the workshop as well.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Amanda, do you have like 10 minutes to stay after the presentation? Yeah,
for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone who came today.
Thanks, Amanda. Thank you, Mina.
Thank you. Have a great one, guys.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
All right.
Okay, I think we should stop.